Welcome to Detroit Disability Power's anti-ableism training for higher education. We bring this video to you because of the disproportionate barriers disabled people face to get to and participate in higher education. There have been many documented issues with accessibility in higher education, and this video aims to educate you on how these issues can be prevented. Through this video, we hope to provide you an avenue towards making your classroom a more accessible and inclusive space. Following this introduction, this video will have 6 sections, each designed to further educate you on how to combat ableism and inaccessibility. The first section, What is Disability?, provides a description of who may be part of the disability community. It also explains what language and terms should be preferred, what terms should be avoided, and why. Next is an explanation of the medical, social, and cultural models of disability, with a focus on the social model as the framework to use. Following that is an explanation on how the official university accommodation system may not fulfill a student's access needs. Student stories are provided to support these ideas. The second to last section provides strategies for how to make the classroom more accessible to all students. In the final section, more educational resources are listed. So let's get started. This slide asks, what is disability? First and foremost, disability is a natural part of life and diversity. Understanding this is foundational to making education and the wider environment work for all people. Adding on from that, the disability community can include anyone who is blind or has low vision, has cognitive disabilities and neurodiversity, learning disabilities, mental health, physical disabilities, developmental disabilities, is deaf or hard of hearing, and/or experiences chronic illness and pain. In this video, we're using the Big Tent approach to whom the disability community consists of, which means we are inclusive of all types of disabilities. This is not necessarily an exhaustive list of who can be part of the disability community, but it shows just how broad this community can be and shows how the lived experience of each disabled individual varies. Another important thing to keep in mind is the language you and those around you are using to discuss disability. On this slide, we have a list of terms separated into 2 columns. On the left are terms that are generally accepted, and on the right are terms that are more offensive or harmful or outdated. On the left are the terms disabled people, which is known as identity first or proud language, and people with disabilities, which is known as person first language. These are both good phrases to use when referring to those in the disability community. Depending on the audience or individual, one might be preferred over the other. The phrase disabled people emphasizes that disability is not separable from a person's identity, and also that disability is not negative. The phrase people with disabilities aims to show that people are more than their disability. This latter term is often used in higher education settings, but especially in recent years, disabled people is a phrase that has been in more frequent use. Younger generations have generally embraced the term disabled people, but older generations may prefer people with disabilities. If you want to know which term you should use, listen to the preference of those you're speaking to. On the right, we have words or phrases relating to disability that should be avoided. One of these is special needs, which is a term that's often used in the education system. However, the needs of disabled people are not special. They're the same needs as any other person, disabled or not. It's just that because of the way our society and built environment is set up, some people have to get their needs met in different ways. For example, a need of any student would be to understand lecture content so they can do well on the exam. Image descriptions or subtitles might be helpful or necessary for some people so that they can understand the content and do well in the class, which again is the same need as any other student. Using the term special needs instead of disabled can increase stigmatization around the word disabled and the idea of disability. 2 other terms to avoid are handicapped and wheelchair-bound. Handicapped is a term that was used in other settings before being applied to the disability community and carries a negative connotation. Instead of handicapped, simply use disabled, or in the case of describing something like a bathroom stall or parking spot, say accessible. Instead of wheelchair-bound, use a wheelchair user. Wheelchair-bound implies that the wheelchair is restricted when the opposite is actually true. For a person who cannot walk, a wheelchair provides freedom of movement. When some of these words or phrases are used with a negative connotation in mind, there's an inadvertent connection of disability with something negative. When using certain words or phrases, consider, what are you trying to say, and is there another way to say it? For example, instead of using the phrase tone deaf, try to replace it with offensive or ignorant. Instead of calling something crazy, say wild. These changes in vocabulary, while simple, can make a lot of difference. Moving on from vocabulary, on this slide, we have a chart explaining two different models of disability, the medical model and the social model. The social model is most widely preferred by disabled people, as it's more holistic and accurate in its framing of the disability experience. There's also a third model known as the cultural model, which has more recently emerged as another way of looking at disability that's also supported by many people with disabilities. Under the medical model, disability is a problem in the individual, whether physical, mental, or emotional. The focus lies on fixing the individual through curing or treating the disability. Medical professionals are viewed as the experts on disability and the ones who should make decisions relating to it instead of disabled people themselves. Through the medical model, the burden is put on people with disabilities, and they're taught that disability is an individual issue to be fixed or cured. However, under the social model, disability is a natural part of the human experience, and disabled people interact with a society that presents challenges in the form of access, ableism, etc. The social model identifies the problem as the society, and therefore society needs to be changed to provide better access to all people. Under this model, people with disabilities, not medical professionals, are the experts in their own life and their own experiences. The cultural model is very similar to the social model in that it identifies an ableist society and ableist attitudes as the problem, but the cultural model takes it a step further. Through this model, disability is seen as an inseparable part of identity and is understood as valuable human diversity. One example of the social or cultural model in action. Consider a wheelchair user that's trying to get into a building that only has stairs and no ramp leading to the entrance. The medical model would view the issue to be the wheelchair user cannot climb the stairs and would see this as a deficit within the individual that should be fixed. However, under the social and cultural models, the lack of the ramp is the issue. The best solution would simply be to install a ramp so that this wheelchair user could enter the building. The ramp not only benefits the wheelchair user, but many others, such as a parent pushing a stroller, someone carrying heavy packages, or someone using another mobility device. The reason we introduced these three different models is to shift the mindset around disability. Instead of looking at disability as individual problems, look at the difficulties imposed by society onto disabled people. Recognizing and understanding these three models makes it easier to change your mindset and frame your understanding of disability around the social and/or cultural model. It is the responsibility of the society to ensure that it is equally accommodating of all people, regardless of disability status, race, gender, or any other aspect of identity. The solution to ableism and access issues is not to fix a disability within an individual, but instead to change the society and built environment that is supposed to be open to them, but is not. The social and cultural models encourage us to think of how society and your classroom can change to be accessible for every student. One way that many higher education institutions keep accessibility in mind is through providing official accommodations. Unlike K-12 education, which is subject to specialized laws, college and university accessibility is governed under the General Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and 504. Through accommodations, students with diagnosed disabilities can request specific accommodations to assist their learning and/or test taking. For many students, official accommodations are a necessary and helpful way to have their needs met. However, this slide explains that for other students, official accommodations may not meet their access needs for a variety of reasons. In most cases, students without a recently documented disability cannot request accommodations from an accommodations office. Types of acceptable documentation may differ across universities. While many universities require diagnostic paperwork, some others are moving towards what's called an accommodations-first model. Being a good faculty member and ally means making an effort to learn how students get accommodations and what resources are available to them. No matter what accommodation system your college or university uses, students may face barriers to equal access. Sometimes students lack the time or money required to receive a disability diagnosis, or they may avoid diagnosis out of fear of being treated differently. Furthermore, in most situations, the burden is placed entirely on the student to figure out and track down what accessibility resources are available to them. Ask yourself if your own policies create an accessible classroom environment for your students, or what shifts to your policies you can make to achieve this goal. This slide reads accommodations accounts with numbers 1 through 4. We asked students to anonymously share times that they experienced difficulty receiving requested accommodations and are documenting some of the responses here. One student shared that they requested accommodations, but were forced to wait 6 weeks for a letter of accommodation for a course because the professor did not believe they had a disability. Because of this, they failed the course and were forced to take and pay for it all over again. Another student went to their disability office to request extensions on assignments because they had things going on at home and their insurance was not covering medication they needed to focus. The office informed them that they would not give extensions for that reason and told the student that their planned career might not be a good fit for them. A third student attends a university where some of the colleges require studying a foreign language for 4 semesters. They ended up staying in the business college, which does not have a language requirement, for an extra year to avoid this. The student has social anxiety and auditory processing disorder, and taking language courses was an incredibly difficult obstacle to overcome. They attempted 6 language courses, all of which caused them extreme emotional strife. After the 3rd semester requirement, with much effort, they obtained an accommodation allowing a replacement culture course instead of a 4th language course. They maintain that they passed their 3rd semester course through the grace of their teacher and don't know what they would have done if they had been required to pass the 4th semester course. Our 4th story comes from a faculty member who shares that they were offered accommodations for their office, including a supportive chair. They were assured that the process to acquire the chair would only require them to submit documentation and attend a chair fitting consultation, and that after that, the staff would take over if anything else was needed to get the chair. However, the process ended up being incredibly involved and time-consuming, and when this person reached out for help, they got no responses. They asked to set up a meeting to figure this out, and again received no responses. They did not get the chair until 2 days before the end of the semester, and were especially frustrated that on top of the amount of work they had to go through, they received none of the promised support from staff. We share these stories to illustrate that accommodations do not always go far enough for students, but it is also true that there are many accommodation success stories. When giving the resources to succeed, students thrive, such as in this example from Baylor University. One student shared that after registering with Baylor's accommodations office and getting accommodations, he began to see his grades go up and felt like he was able to succeed in college. He describes the breath of relief he feels when he remembers he can have time and a half on tests, or knowing that there can be someone to read the test for him or help him take notes in class if he can't focus. He says that the Office of Access and Learning Accommodations, or OALA, gave him the resources and opportunities to learn the way he needs to learn, and his goal of going to graduate school can now be a reality. We support you as instructors to make the most of the accommodation system your school has in place, but you also have the ability to shape your classes to be more accessible beyond the official accommodation system. Give every student equal opportunity to succeed by creating an accessible environment. This slide shows a person standing and writing at a desk and reads "Suggestions for the Classroom," which is our next section. There are many ways that you as instructors can improve the accessibility of your classroom. First, remember to center the social model of disability in your classroom and outside of it. Instead of viewing disability as an individual problem, see the societal challenges people with disabilities face and commit yourself to the work of helping to solve them. Most importantly, listen to the thoughts and opinions of disabled people. People with disabilities are the experts in their own situations, and they know what is best for them, so listen. The primary focus of this video is to encourage you to shift your mindset around disability, because truly accepting the social model is the first and most important step to dismantling inequity. However, we've also compiled a list of suggestions, some simple strategies you can implement to make your classroom more inclusive and accessible. This is by no means a comprehensive list, and we encourage you to think beyond it and to remain open to other suggestions. Also, remember to stay updated on what access resources your institution offers. This slide shows a drawing of 3 people on a video call. We ask that before the semester begins, you try to include a good access statement in your syllabus. This will illustrate to your students that you're committed to their success in the course and are working to create an inclusive classroom. Also, in online or recorded settings, ensure you have accurate subtitles. On Zoom or in other group calls, introduce yourself each time you start to speak. This will make it much easier for students to pinpoint when the professor is speaking versus another student. In any class setting, it's always a good idea to give an access check, which gives students the opportunity to voice any needs they have in real time. For example, maybe you forgot to turn on subtitles, or maybe a student would like for you to speak louder. To do an access check, you can ask, does everyone have what they fully need to engage and participate? This ensures that students have their needs met from the beginning of the class period. Furthermore, students may be hesitant to bring up these needs once class content is already being introduced, so giving a clear opportunity at the beginning of the class will benefit them and their learning. If you can, include an anonymous way for students to communicate their needs. If you're teaching a large lecture, repeat student questions when you hear them to ensure that everyone can hear the question and its answer. Also, try to incorporate active breaks, such as posing a question that students can discuss with the people around them. This slide shows a drawing of a recorded lecture. Another strategy that became popular during the pandemic was setting up lecture recordings, which we also highly recommend. Lecture recordings benefit all students, whether someone was sick that day and needs to catch up, was in class but needs more review, or has trouble understanding a lecturer in real time and is better served by a recording with subtitles that can be stopped or slowed down. Image descriptions are also incredibly helpful. For people who are blind or low vision, image descriptions can inform them of important concepts within an included image. If you'd like to learn more about crafting a brief but informative image description, check out these 2 QR codes. Also, if your lecture has visual aids, such as a chart or a graph, make sure to verbally describe these in class. When you're creating classroom materials, be sure to keep accessibility in mind, such as, is the font size large enough to be easily readable? Is there sufficient contrast between the background and the text? At the end of this video, we'll list more resources for keeping accessibility in mind with graphic design. In advance of class, give information about the classroom space for students to plan, as well as information on what access resources are available. For example, is the classroom a lecture hall with multiple levels? Is there sufficient space in all the walkways for a wheelchair user? Will the classroom change at any point during the semester? Some of these factors may be beyond your control, but it is still important to inform your students so that they can plan in advance and do your best to keep the physical space accessible. Try to send out or post class materials in advance so students have time to prepare. Posting lecture slides or lecture notes in advance can help the studying of every student. With lecture notes already in front of them, students can take more time to understand the concepts gone over in class and add annotations specific to their learning. Also, if important announcements are made during class, remember to post or email these announcements as well. Every person's brain works differently, so it's important to share information in multiple ways to reach the most people. This slide shows a drawing of 2 people texting and 2 people on a video call. We ask that you consider your attendance policy. Some students may have difficulty coming to every class, but still be very committed to learning the material. If a student comes to you with an attendance issue, be open to discussion and engage with them to help find a solution you can both agree on. Many classes made the shift to attendance optional during the pandemic, or switched to an attendance policy that allowed more absences. If your class is more reliant on attendance, participation-based, for example, then you can emphasize to students that if they are worried about their ability to attend every class period, they can meet with you and discuss other options. While class attendance is important, students may have very real barriers to attendance that are beyond their control. Virtual participation is one alternative to in-person attendance that has been explored in recent years, and one that could be implemented into your classroom. As stated before, sometimes university accommodations will not work for students. In light of this, try to invite students that request accommodations to speak with you at the beginning and/or midpoint of the semester to make sure their access needs are being met. Here are some more resources on how to make your classrooms more accessible. The slides are linked below for you to access. In addition to resources, we can point you towards current policy efforts, including the Respond, Innovate, Succeed, and Empower, or RISE Act. As stated by the National Learning Center for Disabilities, RISE does 3 main things. First, it expands the documentation that can be used by a student seeking accommodations to include an IEP, 504 plan, or prior evaluation. Second, it funds a National Center for College Students with Disabilities, which will provide students and families with information on disability services and faculty members with resources and training to support students with disabilities. Third, it ensures colleges must report on how much provided accommodations are benefiting their students. Thank you for watching this anti-ableism training. We encourage you to explore the resources provided in the previous slide and share what you have learned with others. To summarize our main takeaways, first, disability is a natural part of the human experience. Our society and our education system should work equally well for all people, but unfortunately, that is not the case. Disabled people face many barriers to equal access throughout their education, and it's important to recognize these barriers in order to work to remove them. Second, remain cognizant of the language you're using to describe disability, or how you may be using phrases relating to disability to the disabled community in a way that denotes a negative connotation. Third, center the social model of disability and recognize the ways that the society and built environment can change to be more accessible. And lastly, reflect on the ways that you can make your classroom environment more accessible to all students. Remember to listen to disabled people as they are the experts in their own situations. Demonstrate to your students that you're always open to new accessibility suggestions. There's always more to learn on how to foster inclusivity, and we hope this training is a stepping stone toward a better understanding of disability and accessibility. Thank you for listening.